The Bible tells us in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. One of the first things that I do in our counseling sessions here at Wonderfully Med is a learn assessment. And the idea is to find out how were you trained where you were growing up. The things that you learned when you were growing up are going to affect you later on in life. They're going to be your good core values, but they're also going to, in a way, determine your negative core values, the things that you tell yourself deep inside. Things such as, I am a loser, I will never amount to anything, I am destined to be a failure, and so on and so on. Those things are deep in your mind. Perhaps nobody knows that you feel that way about yourself, but through counseling, we can discover those negative core values and then fix them. But they come from your upbringing, from the things that you learn from your parents, family members that you look up to, even heroes on TV. For example, I remember watching this interview with a famous band leader in Puerto Rico. Roberto Roena was his name. I believe he died a couple of years ago. And Roberto Roena was a black Puerto Rican, just like me. And he was on an interview, and the interviewer was asking him why he's always dating white women. He said, because he needs to improve his race. Now, that created in me a negative core value where I saw that there was something wrong with me because there was something wrong with my race. And I was insecure about the color of my skin. And that lasted for some years. Why? Because this person that I look up to said that. Now, obviously, later on in life, I was healed from that and I no longer believe that. But this is just an example of how negative core values will kind of sneak themselves in. And the problem is that as long as you believe those things, those lies about yourself, you won't be able to prosper. You won't be able to, even if you do great things, you won't be able to enjoy them because deep inside you have those negative core values. So we have to expose them and we have to replace them. And a lot of times, you walk around and you get used to thinking that way and it doesn't really, you don't consider them a big deal. However, they need to be exposed. I work with men, for example, that have struggled with in and out of jail, in and out of prison, drugs, alcoholism, and all kinds of stuff. And when they tell me their stories, many of them grew up in dysfunctional families. Many of them stated that when they were kids, they promised themselves that they would never be like that. Dad was abusing mom verbally and physically, and they promised themselves, I will never be like my dad. However, they grew up not only to be like dad, but in many cases even worse. Why? Because that was the training that they received. That even though they wanted to be better than dad, even though they knew something was wrong, at the end of the day, that's what you was trained to be. It's like if you love basketball, but in your community is so poor or is so out there in the country, they don't even have a basketball team. Well, you have a desire to be a basketball player, but if nobody takes the time to really teach you, you are not going to learn the game. So a lot of what happened here in counseling, guys, is relearning things, okay? There's a lot of teaching involved in counseling. And more than teaching is the application of God's word. So this is a simple assessment, a simple questions that we ask to identify those negative core values. And I recommend that everybody have the chance to do it. Everybody take a good look. Every now and then I run into some people that don't have them. They grew up in families that were normal. They don't believe those things, because the key is not perfection. The key is that even though you realize that you are not perfect, you don't believe that you're a loser. You don't believe that everybody's against you. You don't believe, again, there's 20 plus negative core values that you don't believe that. The deep inside, you believe that, hey, I can do all things to Christ to strengthen me. But it's very rare that I run into people that has no negative core values. Some of them are telling the truth. Some of them are simply in denial concerning negative core values. But when we talk about peeling that life onion, we're peeling that life onion from the inside out. And we start with that upbringing, but we don't dwell there. We just don't stay there. We just glance at the upbringing, what you have learned. And then we focus on the negative core values, replacing those negative core values. And our counseling process start and develop from there.